Here are the pros and cons of joining a nursing union. Whether to join a nurse union or not has been a dividing question in nursing since labor across the world started to unionize from the early 1900s. While in the United States, union membership is shrinking in most sectors, the number of nurses joining unions or organizing to form unions is increasing. Many nurses see unions, and what they stand for, as unprofessional and against their ethical code. Other nurses believe that collective bargaining through unionization is the only way to address current issues in nursing, such as staff shortages, and their effect on the care which nurses can provide to their patients. Joining a union has professional, ethical, personal and financial implications. And every nurse should be able to make their own informed decision. Your stance on unions can, for example, influence where you apply for a job once you qualify. You might have to join the union at a particular hospital, whether you want to or not. This article will provide you with some background about unions and unionization in nursing, and explain what unions do. What is a union? With increased industrialization in the early 1900s, and business owners only interested in profits, there was extreme exploitation and often inhumane treatment of the labor force. Workers realized that they needed to stand together and speak with one voice, bargain collectively, to confront management and to improve their wages and working conditions. Clashes between workers and management often became violent, and over time governments stepped in to regulate workers' rights. In the U.S., the National Labor Relations Act, providing for workers' right to unionize, was passed in 1935. Unionization in nursing. The drive for unionization in the last century came at a time when nursing organizations across the world were advocating for recognition of nursing as a profession. Unions were for laborers and those in trades. Professionals generally did not join unions. Furthermore, union tactics were viewed as being in conflict with the values of nursing. Pros and cons of nurse unions. Unions use their collective voice to bargain for improved compensation and conditions of service. Here are the pros and cons of nurse unions. It's reported that nurses in the U.S. who work in facilities that are unionized earn up to 18% more than non-unionized nurses. In some cases, unions have also succeeded in areas such as obtaining higher pay for the unpopular shifts. In considering income, you should, however, also realize that you'll have to pay monthly union dues, and that in the event of strike action you will lose the income for the days you're on strike. Union negotiated salaries mean guaranteed wages and pay increases based on years of service and other standards. The downside is that it could limit the possibilities of advancement on the grounds of excellent performance. If you are not the most senior person in line for a promotion, the contract which you'll sign when joining a unionized facility will reflect the agreements which the union has negotiated with the particular employer. This might include a reference to higher compensation for particular types of work, exclusion of mandatory overtime, nurse-patient ratios, rules for floating, and a nurse's right to refuse assignments for which they don't feel adequately prepared. Employer provisions for continuing education could even be included. The contracts in a non-union facility might not make provision for any of the mentioned employment benefits. At unionized workplaces, grievance procedures are clearly spelled out. Furthermore, union members are represented by the union in any dispute or disciplinary proceeding. This ensures fair treatment and protects employees from retaliation and victimization. This can, however, draw out and complicate minor clashes as the union has to mediate in every incident. While protecting members from arbitrary or unfair dismissal, unions can also make it very difficult for employers to get rid of incompetent employees, or even those suspected of misconduct. Should you join a nurse union? To answer this question, you should arm yourself with as much knowledge as possible and then, within your own frame of reference, weigh up whether joining a union is in line with your personal and professional values. You should also consider the practical costs and benefits of joining a union, and investigate what different unions have to offer. You will then be in a position to make an informed personal choice on whether you want to join a union or not, and/or are prepared to accept a job at a facility where you have to join.